us and living by the laws. It was under him that he made it illegal. You know? He was on a power trip.
And even Epiphany means God manifest. So he actually thought he was a God.
And why was he on a power trip? Because the Romans just stopped his ass from besieging and defeating the Ptolemy Empire in the 6th Syrian War. You see? So, that's the red horse. They shall make war with one another. They've been making war. We can't just say World War I, World War II. We got to take our ass to the Middle East. And then it came over here. So anywhere Esau goes, he's fighting. Even his own people.
And it says, verse...
that was it. You got some more?
No, it's a little bit.
All right.
Yeah. And it says, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in houses at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
That's it. All right, back to Daniel.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 6.
So we just did a brief history, very brief, but we pulled out the meat for the gist of it. We did a brief history lesson on the rulership or the establishment of the Greeks, okay? Which Daniel, which we're breaking down now in Daniel. So let's keep going. So this is a timeline. And what this is showing is, once Esau got in the rulership, he stayed in the rulership. Because after the Greeks, when did Esau really fall out of rulership? During Revelations 20, when he got the deadly wound. But then it was healed, see? So the Lord used Jacob and Esau as the last ruling empires, if you will. Keep going.
Daniel 7 and verse 6. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
Right, because you had a lot of generals, a lot of Greek Edomites, but the 4 main generals, or the 4 main wings, are the ones we said. Cassander, Seleucus, Ptolemy, and Epiphanes. Because it said the wicked root Epiphanes. So you got to watch out for this wing, you know? Keep going.
I considered the horns.
Which is spiritual because what do we always say? It's a different feather but the same bird. Democrat, Republican, Roman, Greek, Ptolemy, Epiphanes. So same or different feather, same bird. And like an eagle, which eagle represents who? Esau. An eagle, if it loses one feather on one side, it loses it on the other. So what happened? The one feather was the Epiphanes waging war with the other feather, Ptolemy. They both fell and became what? The Romans. But the same fucking bird.
I considered the horns and beheld, there came up among them another little horn, before whom were 3 of the first horns plucked up.
All right, read that again, Sakia. Where you at?
Verse 8.
All right, read. No, you gotta read 7.
Okay.
Yeah, we just skipped the whole empire. We just skipped the whole empire. Read that. But that's like what a Christian will do. Like, do you know what you just skipped over?
Right.
You got to go into that. That's why I said here a little, there a little. But that little profiteth. Remember, Paul said, bodily exercise profiteth a little. But that little can mean a lot if depending on what you're involved in. So let's read 7. You know, the Roman part.
Daniel 7 verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly.
Yep.
And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all beasts that were before it.
Now, why was it diverse? Do you brothers know why the Roman Empire, we already said it, it's an open book test. Why is the Roman Empire diverse from all the other beasts? And really, the Greek, the transition of power is an indicator. Why are they diverse? Because the Romans didn't give their rulership to their sons. They dispersed it to other men through a voting system. So during the Greeks, they stopped the monarchy. Because every other nation still lived by a monarchy. I don't care if you're Moab, Ham, Assyrian. They all lived by a monarch, starting with Israel. But who stopped the monarch? The Greeks. Why? Get Deuteronomy 32. It was that Deuteronomy 32 and 32. Why did Esau stop the monarch system? Because he's a damn Mo, and he's wicked. Why?
Deuteronomy 32 Like in verse 32.
Yep, it should be. It's all good.
In verse 32.
Yep, read
And it
that.
said, Deuteronomy 32 and verse 32, it says,
Hey, we got the books open on you today, Esau.
annual books that he wrote. It says, for their vine is of the vine of Sodom.
What's their vine?
Is of the vine of Sodom.
So if you're a vine of Sodom, you ain't gonna have no children. She can't have no kids, man.
Right.
He wasn't out there making no babies. He wasn't trying to make no juniors. I got generals. This nigga picked his generals by dropping his fucking handkerchief on them. Read it again.
Deuteronomy 32 and 32. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom.
Yep.
And of the fields of Gomorrah.
See? So their vine is the vine of Sodom, which Sodom today is where? In Israel. But what took place in Israel? The wickedness. You see? So Esau's transition of power was through a non-monarch system. And why? One of the main reasons because he was a Mo. But then after that, they continued that because in the Romans, you had what? Caesars.
Yep.
You didn't have Caesar. How many times did the Caesars transition power? Multiple.
Right.
Killing each other, setting them up, killing each other.
Assassinations.
Now they do assassination of a character. So finish that and let's jump right back.
And it says, their grapes are grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter.
Yeah, their fruit is bitter. What they know and what they push on you is bitter. It's like, ugh. I can't believe I just sat there and learned that. That's Esau for you. Now, where were we?
I had
Obadiah, but we need to jump back in Daniel. You had a precept, brother? All right. Now, all right, read that. Now, that's speaking about Japhet, but we use that for the Romans. You want to read it? No, do you want your precept first?
Yeah, I've got to read this.
Yep.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7, it says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly.
Now, if you are a historian, this would, out of cancellation, this would have to be the Romans. Who's the most powerful empire that ruled after the Greeks? Romans. Keep going.
It says, and it had great iron teeth, it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
It stamped everything. It was running through everything. And guess what? In the Romans, there you had what? Gentile Israelites. You had so many Israelites that were jacked up from the Greek Empire that those jacked up Israelites transferred to the Roman Empire. Now you had a small sect of Israelites still through what? The high priesthood, because they made covenants with them. Man.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Right.
And it had 10 horns.
And it was diverse because why? It didn't have a monarch system. All right, keep going. Yep.
This is 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and 1. Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them.
Now this is the Japhites, but this characteristic Esau portrayed as himself. Okay, keep going.
And make a league of amity with all that came unto them.
Yep.
And that they were men of great valor. It was told
Now
them,
is Esau a man of great valor? No. So this is how you know this is the Japhites. But remember, when Esau defeats you, he takes on your what? Your customs. All right, keep going.
it says, it was told
Oh,
them,
let me say this real quick so I can. You have I read a fun fact about the Romans where they said there's certain things that they do to this day that they don't even know why they do it, because there's certain Japhetic rituals that they did when they first came into Roman power that they don't even know why they still do it to this day. And that's Esau for you. I don't know why we hate him, we just hate him. Read this.
it says, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of the wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute.
Yep.
And what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and the gold, which is there.
So so what does that tell you? Why did Esau overtake the Japhite Romans? Because what did they have? Mines of what?
Silver and gold.
They had mines of silver and gold. That's all Esau's MO is. Do you know that Esau used to wage war over the copper mines? See? So Esau's always been about precious metals. All right? Keep going.
And that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomfited them and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year. Beside this, how they had discomfited in a battle Philip and the Persian king of the Chittims.
Yep.
So you're talking about the Persians.
Yep.
And with others that lifted up themselves against them and had overcome them.
I could see even Esau being in mix of Japhet and fighting and waging war. You see?
How that also Antiochus, the great king of Asia.
Now it's transitioning into Esau. Keep going.
It says that came against them in battle.
See? Came against them. Came against who? The Japhites. Okay? Esau came against the Japhites. Keep going.
Having 120 elephants with horsemen and chariots, and a very great army, was discomfited by them, and how they took him alive, and covenanted that he and as such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute, and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon, in the country of India, and Media, and Lydia, and of the goodliest countries which they took of him.
And why did they take Lydia? Because remember, the Persians had Lydia. See? So when you overthrow a ruling empire, you take everything that comes with it. When the Greeks defeated the Persians, Ptolemy Philadelphus wrote to the high priest Eleazar and told him how all the slaves, the Hebrew slaves that they took from the Persians, they paid them more than the other men because they put them in their military. So when the Greeks defeated the Persians, they took on the slaves that the Persians had, and they took them from their military and put them in the Greek military. So you had Jake in the Greek army.
Verse 9. Moreover, how the Grecians had determined to come and destroy them, and that they, having knowledge thereof, sent against them a certain captain, and fighting with them, slew many of them, and carried away captive their wives and their children, and spoiled them, and took possession of their lands, and pulled down their strongholds, and brought them to be their servants unto this day.
There you go.
It was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them.
Yep, resist the Edomites. So now, what did we just hear in the Esau's tactic of war? Gold, which is money. Politics, war, governments, slaves. Every time Esau deals, it's the same recipe for his rulership. It's money, politics, politicians, government, slavery, war. It's all the same. Every time this guy, that's what surrounds him. See? Well, that's why it's wise to watch the dollar. Because the dollar is always in the midst of war. Every time.
But with their friends, and such as relied upon them, they kept amenity, and that they had conquered kingdoms, both far and nigh, and so much as all that heard of their name was afraid of them.
There you go.
Also that whom they will help to a kingdom, those will reign, and again they whom they displaced. Finally, they were greatly exalted, yet for all this, none of them wore a crown, or was clothed in purple, to be magnified thereby.
Yep.
Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end that they might be well ordered.
And who does that today? Esau. Esau does the same thing. He has a Senate, he has a Secretary of State, he has Congress, he has council. You see, because the Lord gave counsel as an ability to us. And that's how Esau, he gets in counsel for wickedness. He doesn't come and counsel together for righteousness. He does it in the name of war, you know.
And that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them.
Right, and that's the tactics he got from the Japhites. But he acts that out today. Now let's go back to Daniel. Keep going.
This is Daniel 7 and verse 8.
So we could go into the New Testament and the Romans and the Gentiles, but we're bringing it up to present day. We're going into prophetic scriptures and bringing up the ruling empire, which is today, and we're pinpointing it. and we're actually standing in the ruling Roman Empire, the ruling empire of the world. Keep going.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Yep.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
But still Edomites. Keep going.
And it had 10 horns.
Keep going.
I considered the horns and beheld, and there come up among them another little horn.
Yep. So here's the horns, but up comes another little horn. So we go from what? The Roman Empire to what? Because you have the pagan Roman Empire, then the Holy Roman Empire, and then what took place? Esau coming back out. The Renaissance. Because who went down for Esau when he came out? Jake. The medieval, the bubonic plague. See? So it literally transpired, because it don't mention the medieval time right here, but you got to go to Rev 20 to get that. That's what happened with that 1,000 years when that seal was set upon him. Okay? But when that seal got loosed, he seen that little horn. Now read it.
I considered the horns, and behold, then came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Right. It said 3 of the horns. Now we're getting back into it. So over here in America, right? First you had during the Renaissance, the 1400s, when he got loosed, he came and deceived who? The Northern Kingdom. When he went to South America under who you know as Christopher Columbus, and he came with a Hebrew interpreter by the name of Joseph Bon Levi. Then after that, fast forward a couple more years, 100 years, right? You had who came over here? You had British come over in 1607, and they came to where? Jamestown, Virginia. Okay, and then so now we're getting into the horns. Spanish, British. Then let's Google, when did the French come to America? You want to look it up? When did the French come to America? Because these are the 3 horns. But the most major horn out of the 3 is the British. Because remember, who controlled the bank in the 1600s? The British. So when did France come to America? What year?
So the French colonization of the Americas began in the 16th century.
The 16th centuries. That's why you have something called the Louisiana Purchase. That's why you have something called French Canadian. That's why you have in New Orleans French. A lot of Jakes French. What does Levi speak? Creole. Okay. You see? So those are the 3 horns. The Spanish, they came in the 1400s, right? The French, they came in the 16th century, and then the British, which came in the 1600s. And then who came after them? That little horn, which was the Pilgrims. And who'd they come with? Slaves. See? So read that again.
It says, after this, verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
So these horns, when it said the 10 horns, they represented Edomite empires. But these empires aren't on a major scale, but they're on a scale enough to conquer lands. So part of those 10 horns, we're speaking of 4 of them. The Spanish, the French, and the British. But then another horn came, and that was what you know as the Americas, and that started in 1619, which was the Pilgrims. And guess what the Pilgrims were coming to America for? They say to escape religious persecution. But these mother suckers came to escape persecution with slaves that they persecuted. So don't give me a sob story. But that's history. So what do we got? Right here. Hold on, read that again.
It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root.
Now, stop there, and we have to read Revelation 17, where it says that it's not yet. That's speaking about what? British, and then who came out of British? The establishment of America. So let's read this, and then we're going to read this.
You got it right here.
Okay, you got it, brother. Do what you got to do.
Verse 17 and verse 10, and it says, and there are 7 kings,
Yep.
5 are fallen,
Yep.
and one is,
Yep.
and the other is not yet come.
The other is not yet come.
And when he cometh,
Because why? You had the Spanish, the French, the British, the Greeks, the Romans. You had 5 of them that fallen. Keep going.
and it says, and when he cometh,
Yep.
he must continue a short space.
Yep.
And the beast that was,
Oh, yeah, it says he should continue a short space.
Yep.
British continued here a short space. Do you know when the end of the American and Britain's war? Do you know when it ended? 1783.
Yep.
But they declared their independence in 1776, the same month that they started what you know as the Illuminati.
That's right.
All ties in. The establishment of America, the establishment of a system, a secret system, and a platform to do it on, what you know as government. Okay? So read that again.
verse 17 and verse 10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is,
Yep, that's the British.
and the other is not yet come.
And that's America, because who came over to Americas first? The British. 1607. And then who you know as the Pilgrims came. And they started 13 colonies that fought against who? The British. You see, that's a little horn compared to the Brits.
Right.
13 colonies, that's small. Keep going.
And it says, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space.
Yep.
Verse 11, and the beast that was and is not,
Yep.
even he is the 8th.
Yep.
And is
The beast that was is not, is America. America, the beast that is but was not when Britain was ruling. It wasn't coined America then. Keep going.
And it says, and is of the 7th,
Yep.
and goeth into perdition.
Yep.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings,
Yep.
which have received, which have received no kingdom as yet,
Yep.
but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
That's the point. What's the 1 hour of the beast is 42 years, which ended in 2000. So Esau's on borrowed time. All right, but that's the point. So now let's go back. So that little horn that plucked up the 3 horns is speaking about America. So in essence, the Declaration of Independence is biblical, because read the 3 horns again, please.
It says, Daniel 7 and 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3
Yep.
of the first whose
And the first
horns.
the first were 3. Did not the Spanish rule South America? Did not the French rule parts of America? Did not the British rule? And then who came to fulfill the rulership? Those sect of Edomites. You see?
It says, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
And what was the great things he spoke? Rights, the freedom, land of the free. That's how he got the people. No, this is free. Just like in Pinocchio, which Pinocchio is child sex trafficking. But the dude that took him to the island brought him to a landmass and said, you can do what you want. It's not what they did with America. You come here to do what you want. The first thing we did was we defeated a tyrannous government known as the Brits. But the Brits are ruling today. The Biden administration is the Brits. And who do you got today? It's the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the neo-Nazis. Those are all the same spirit of the 13 colonies. Okay? Because America had to defeat the British to establish their independence on the same land mass. That's how you have America. Then over time came what? A United States currency. See how it all ties in? See? So real quick, it says, so the Declaration of Independence is found in the Bible. The Declaration of Independence, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. That's why they call themselves united, because there's 13 United States. 13 representing what? Satan, Lucifer. So they created a landmass off a satanic ritual. But now are all 52 states united? Hell no. But what does it say? If a kingdom is divided against itself, it shall not stand. Esau was not in unison. They were all Edomites fighting over a plot of land, just like the space race. When did the space race happen? In 1969. And a lot else happened in 1969, which Lord's will go into it. But it says, I mean, you brothers can read it. I'm not even going to go into it. You brothers can read it. But the Declaration of Independence is literally found in the Bible. You see? So let's read it again.
It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came
we could read it. I mean, there's some edification to it, but we all get the point. You get the point. But I will say this: Esau put himself in a box with the Declaration of Independence because with the Declaration, it states that the people can overthrow the government legally. That's why you're going to have sedition among men. That's why one shall rise up against another. And that's all the plans of the elites, but ultimately it's prophecy. Order out of chaos. You got to destroy a city to save one. But how do you save it after you destroy it? Through the monetary system. So what's going to replace that dollar? There you go. That thing. They're going to poke that thing out. Let's keep going.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
America, the pilgrims. Yep.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Yeah, by the roots, meaning no more. If you take this tree and you cut it down, but you leave roots, what can it do? Grow back. But if you pull the tree fully from the roots, non-existent, as if it was never there, kick some dirt over and keep walking. That's exactly what happened. Right now, if you will, you can't tell that British was ever here. You can't tell if the French were ever here, per se, because their roots were plucked up by the little horn of what you know as the 13 colonies when they established their independence in 1776. But that war, or when they fully got plucked up, was 1783. So when did the Declaration really come? It never did, because the Brits still have ties with this place. It was a plan for the elites to infiltrate and create a government. That's why they declared independence. So the Illuminati would have a platform over the people. That's all it is. Keep reading.
It says, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were their eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Yeah, that's why they have what you know as we got to go to Revelation 13. Why do you think they have a term called inauguration? You brothers know what an augur is, right? It was a Roman witch that was a seer. So they would say, I foresee through this man, this is going to happen. So they inaugurate you because that's the first beast. Deadly wound was healed. Did we read that? We didn't read the deadly wound being healed. We have to, because the deadly wound was healed through the little horn because they enacted what? The ancient Roman Empire. Yeah, read it.
Let me just start from the top. Really quickly. Revelation 20:1, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon.
What's the dragon? The Roman Empire, right? But what?
Like I was going to say, it was a lion, then what? A bear, a leopard, then a dragon.
You understand? So the dragon represents a portion of the Roman Empire, the Edomite, technically. So the dragon is the Western Roman Empire. The water, excuse me, that's even better. That represents the pagan Roman Empire, which is a small example of what? Yahushua coming to separate the sheep from the goats. Did he not separate the Roman Edomites from the Roman Israelites? Was not Cornelius from the Italian band in Israel? Mother sucker. Let's keep going.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
So that proves that the Roman Empire was a devil satanic empire. Oh, you have a lot didn't the Romans what's the Valentine's Day?
Back to the Roman,
Lupercalia. Romans. Lupercalia. Romans, Valentine's Day. All of it. Keep going. So they were doing very satanic things.
Christmas, it shows you on boondocks.
Guess what just passed by? An Edomite driving a Jeep, and guess what it said on the hood? War pony.
Oh, wow.
War horse. Red horse.
Red horse.
Man, I got it right here, man.
War pigs. War pigs.
and cast him into the bottomless pit,
Europe.
and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more,
Keep going.
until the 1,000 years to be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season.
Right. And now we need the deadly wound.
Yep.
Read the deadly. He was loosed a little season. This is Daniel 7, 6, 7, and 8 is that little season? You know what I mean? Well, no, excuse me, I misspoke, because no, not the Greeks, not the Romans, but the what's the verse where it says the 3 little horns?
7 and 9.
7 and 9. That's the little season, because it started over here, right? Christopher Colon, and then one of them horns was the Spanish, which he created. That's him being loose a little season.
Yeah, the beginning of the Renaissance up until now. That's
The little season was the Spanish, French, Britain, and then the Pilgrims.
I got another one.
Yeah.
Verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired,
Yep.
Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
So Satan was loosed, and if you look at Christopher Columbus, is a prime example of Satan, because the things that the Spanish did to Israel was disgusting. The things that they did to our women, the raping, the murdering, the so-called converting, was disgusting. That was Satan that did that. And then they continued their satanic regime through who? The French and the British, because who was over in this land? Gad, the northern kingdoms. See? So the northern kingdom was getting hit first. Then they brought the southern over, which all fulfills what? Genesis 49. At the last days, this shall befall you. See? Now Gad didn't get befallen until what got established? America. What troop took Gad down? Was it the British? Was it? No. Ultimately, it was a 7th Cavalry, the U.S. military that was established from the 13 colonies that gained their independence from who? The horn. Which horn represents power? And where are we? Yep.
Verse 13 and verse 12, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him.
Now, what was part of the first beast? Taxation. Census. Right? What else? Yeah, that's beautiful. Going back, the Boston Tea Party. False flags. And the tea was commerce. And they claimed the British did it. When they did it, that proves they were wicked as hell. So they exercised the power as the first beast. The first beast is who? The Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire that was persecuting Jake. So it makes sense, if this beast was persecuting Jake, then the beast that replicates him is going to persecute who? Jake. So let's keep going.
And it says, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast.
Oh, now we getting somewhere. How did he cause the earth to worship the first beast? Through war. Because now let's fast forward. So we've established the independence. That's the 1700s. 1694, Esau gained rulership over what? The banking system. Now you start going. So we got the 1700s. What came next? The